Slow creativity has entered the chat. Welcome to episode 18 of the MicroMuse. I am Vicky Quinn Fraser of Moxie Books, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about slow creativity because I am taking a stand against the tech bros idea of move fast and break things, because often the only things that get broken are things that don't belong to the movers and breakers. They are things that other people can't afford to lose. So instead, I am setting up a fort on this hill. I will die on this hill, and I'm calling it slow creativity because, god damn it, we need time and space to think. So here is what I have to say about slow creativity. Hi, good morning. Sorry about the darkness in here. It's very bright outside, which is lovely, but doesn't do anything for my screen. Okay, slow creativity. What do I mean when I talk about slow creativity? Mostly, I mean, please stop turning to AI to ideate for you, to come up with ideas, to prompt you to think about things. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it's a really limiting way to do things. It just is. It will AI amalgamates the average of the internet and then regurgitates it back at you. I'm not saying don't do that at all, but please don't make it the first thing you do. We need to be able to sit in the discomfort of not being able to think of something and then stop sitting, get up and go for a walk or move our bodies and see what comes out. And we've got to have input to get output as well. So if all we're doing is doom scrolling all day and sitting and staring at a blank page and then going to something like ChatGPT, that creativity muscle is never going to get used. And it is a muscle. It's something, well, it's not like an actual muscle, but it's something we have to use to be able to use it. It's a little loop. It's a little loop. It's exciting. But there are other reasons as well. When we, slow creativity allows us to find out what we really think about something. So, I mean, you are well aware that at the moment, our opinions are fed to us by the media, by people who have a very specific agenda as to what they want us to think and how they want us to feel and how they want us to behave, which is why it feels like the world is in such a terrible state at the moment. And it is. I'm not saying it isn't, but it's not as bad as they want us to think. And what they want us to do is be very afraid and divided from each other, and not think about these things at all. So this idea of slow creativity will build this ability for us to actually look critically at what's going on around, to not just look at the stuff that we're being fed, but go in search of other things as well, that are nourishing and delightful and creative and funny and fun, because there's plenty of that out there. There really is. And it also allows us to actually really figure out what we think about things as well. And I'm just going to read you a quote, if I can find it. Oh my God, I've lost my quote. Bear with me, caller. The quote is by Paul Graham. I don't know who Paul Graham is. I just saw this quote and enjoyed it. Ideas can feel complete. It's only when we try to put them into words that we discover they're not. That's so true, and that is the crux of slow creativity, is this idea that, and this is why there's so much frustration as well, I think, when people sit down to write stuff. And I'm talking specifically about writing, but this can be applied to anything creative, kind of painting or poetry or engineering or anything. But like specifically for writing, I know this has happened to me a lot. I have an idea in my head and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be a really great book or a really great chapter or a really great post. And then when I sit down to write, it doesn't come out like that, because the thing about ideas is that they're not fully formed in our heads. They're nebulous, they're a feeling as much as anything else. And when we sit down to recreate that, it's never going to be exactly the same, because we haven't got all the details. We don't know really where it's come from or where it's going. We haven't considered all of the nuances of that idea, and we don't really know what we think about it. And this slow creativity gives us that time and space to think about, I've got this idea. Okay, let's think it through. Where's it come from? Why do I believe it? Who's it for? What difference is it going to make? What can I do with it? All of these things, they're not things that we think about consciously until we start to write them down and until we start to do that work that so many people are outsourcing now to an AI of some kind. And that's where we lose our voices, because as soon as we outsource that stuff, like, I've got this idea for this thing, and it's like I could have got chat to, throw me out something about slow creativity. I don't even know what it would have come up with, and maybe that's an experiment for me to do. But I do know that it wouldn't have got me thinking about that quote. It wouldn't have got me thinking about how good it feels to do something that's difficult, to spend time in the process of creating, to spend time in that frustration, which doesn't feel good at the time, but later on when you've done it, it feels great because it's just like, oh, look how I've got from here to here. You can see the effort and feel the effort that goes into it. And so this idea of creating slowly, of giving ourselves time to feel the discomfort, to work our way through problems, work our way through challenges. How do I express this idea? Why doesn't it feel like it did in my head? Cool, let's follow that thread a little bit. All of that allows us to unleash our own voices instead of just copying somebody else's, being a pale imitation of 10,000 voices that has been amalgamated by an AI large language learning model and then regurgitated again as something that may or may not be you. It's certainly not going to be you. Might be a little bit, but certainly not. And so it's how we use and unleash our own voices. And something that one of my clients said the other day, which just I thought was brilliant and is something that I have always known but haven't put quite as eloquently as this, is that writing breaks you open and it forces you to look at who you are and what you believe and what you stand for. And that's not going to happen if we're doing things super fast all the time. If we're always like, I must do this immediately, I must outsource this to make it easier. It's like, nah, we need to figure out who we are and where we're coming from and what we stand for. All of that combines together to form the voice that we have and the work that we create and what we put out there. And it's so much more rewarding and valuable, so much more valuable than anything that could be thrown together in a few minutes through trying to shortcut the method. Everybody's always looking for a shortcut, and there isn't one. I'm not saying that AI is evil and not a tool to be used. I think it is in some ways evil, but I use it. I use it to do all sorts of things. I just don't use it for that initial creative process because it's just a tragedy and it's a waste of time ultimately, and it is contributing to the endless amount of mediocre nonsense that is out there because it's feeding on the mediocre nonsense that is out there. And you, my friend, are not mediocre nonsense. I want to hear who you are and what you think and where it's come from. So create slowly so that your ideas have somewhere to live and grow. That is what I would like to leave you with today. I want to leave you with the idea that it's okay for it to not be super easy. Not everything is, not everything should be. We've been brought up, I don't know, I think things have changed recently. It's like everything should be easy. No, everything should not be easy. Some things should be easy. The stuff that creates structural inequalities, that kind of thing should be easy. But this personal creativity, this work that we do, it shouldn't be easy all the time. Like nothing useful comes of that. And there is pleasure to be had and joy to be had in the difficulty of the thing. So I hope that this has inspired you a little bit to put some time aside and create slowly. And I just want to give you a 5-minute takeaway. And I know there's an irony in giving you a 5-minute takeaway when I've just ranted about slow creativity, but I want you to have a go at embracing the process. Next time you want to write something, step away from technology and see what opens up to you. See what happens when you give your brain space to actually think things through and solve problems and be uncomfortable with the fact that there isn't an instant solution. There is absolute magic there. And you should definitely follow me and subscribe. You can follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube, and you can subscribe, and you should 100,000% visit moxiebooks.co.uk/freebies to join my mailing list and get some awesome free goodies to help you use your voice to make good trouble. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the MicroMuse. I will be back next week.